All right, settle down, you beautiful chaos agents of capitalism. Your favorite 27-year-old financial disruptor is back, and today we're talking about something that makes a lot of people squirm, something that is practically etched into the fabric of the American dream, something that, honestly, I think is a giant, glittery, incredibly expensive lie for most of you. We're talking about homeownership, baby, and why I, with a liquid net worth chilling comfortably around $1.1 million at the tender age of 27, absolutely, unequivocally, refuse to buy a house right now. In fact, let me drop a truth bomb right off the bat. I sold my property in 2024, and let me tell you, it was the single best financial decision I've made in a hot minute. I would have lost around 30 to 40,000 extra if I'd clung to that damn thing, like a financial security blanket woven from regret. Now, before you hit that little X button, thinking I am some kind of whack job, a financial lunatic who has lost his marbles in a pile of Bitcoin, just give me a couple of minutes, because the cold, hard math I am about to lay out for you will, I hope, completely change how you think about home ownership. It might even make you question everything your well-meaning but financially dated relatives have ever told you. We've been fed this bizarre, almost cult-like narrative, this weird-ass dream of owning a property, this idea that it is the pinnacle of success, the best thing you could possibly do for your entire future. And honestly, I think it is just plain stupid for the average Joe, for that tiny, tiny sliver of humanity who wants a place to live very, very long term. I am talking, like staying in the same location for 20 to 30 years. Okay, sure, fine, home ownership can be good. It is like a forced savings account, right? Because you are slowly paying down an asset. It is a mortgage. It is very illiquid, a financial concrete block shackling you to one spot. But dude, honestly, for most people in their 20s and 30s, especially those of you who are actually trying to get rich, I think it is a very, very silly idea. It is a financial cul-de-sac, not a highway to wealth. And here's the kicker. This is actually hilarious. Because if you've known me for a while, if you've been a loyal subscriber to this channel, you know I actually run a real estate lead generation business. My whole identity is practically tied up and dependent almost on people buying and selling houses. I've owned my own personal property. I went through the whole agonizing process. The down payment, the closing costs, the maintenance, the endless parade of things breaking, all of it. But that summer, when I decided to go full liquid, oh my God, thank goodness I did. Because the real estate market right now, my friends, is an absolute disaster. It is like a financial dump. Fire burning through dreams and equity faster than you can say subprime mortgage. There is a record number of millionaires renting right now, and it is finally being seen as an actual legitimate strategy, a smart move to not purchase anymore and instead funnel that capital into other more liquid, more lucrative types of assets. This is what wealthy people are doing. This is what financially intelligent people are doing, and I am going to show you exactly why. Because, surprise, surprise, they're not falling for the same old tricks. So remember when I was talking about the math, yeah, let's dive into that. I want to talk about something I call the 5% rule. I don't think this is talked about enough, and it should be screamed from the rooftops. Take any home's value, any house you are eyeing, and multiply it by 5%. That number, my friends, represents what home ownership actually costs you per year. When you factor in all the hidden vampires sucking your money dry, the property tax, the never-ending maintenance, the insurance premiums that magically go up every year, the things that inevitably break, right? The opportunity cost in general of not putting your money into other, more productive assets. Now, divide that annual number by 12, and that, my friends, is your actual monthly carrying cost. Not what some starry-eyed realtor tells you, but the real brutal truth. So let's say you are looking at a $500,000 house. Okay, 5% of that is obviously 25 grand, $25,000 per year, or about 2,000-ish a month in real unavoidable costs. Now, if you can rent a comparable place for less than $2,000 a month, you are. I repeat, you are literally losing money by buying. In most markets right now, you can rent for 30 to 40% less than what ownership actually costs. Not what some smiling real estate agent with dollar signs in their eyes says it costs, but like the actual net numbers, the numbers that truly hit your bank account. So, let's say you are renting for $2,500 a month, that is $30,000 a year, all in. No other costs, no surprise repairs, no property tax hikes, just $30,000. Now, let's look at that $500,000 house with a 6.5% mortgage rate. Your monthly mortgage payment, buckle up, is around $3,000. And in those first 10 years, 70 to 80% of that, my friends, is just pure interest. You are literally just paying the bank for the privilege of borrowing their money. It is like throwing away around $2,000 to $2,400 per month right there. And guess what? That is already as much as your rent, or even more. right and then. Oh, I don't even want to get into the boring stuff, the maintenance, the constant stream of things that need fixing, the unexpected costs that pop up like financial whack, moles. But it doesn't even matter, right? You are looking at $30,000 to $40,000 per year that you are spending, money that builds you zero equity, zero wealth, just a fancy title deed and a mountain of stress. Meanwhile, the renter, like me, for example, I pay $2,300 a month. I don't have to worry about any of that nonsense. I have freedom. I have mobility. I can literally pick up and move if I want to. It just doesn't matter. When something breaks, I laugh. I am just like, all right, this is going to be fixed in a couple of days anyways. I don't have to think about it at all. Right. It is like having a concierge service for your living situation. So, who is really throwing away the money here? Who is being the financially savvy one? The one pouring money into an illiquid asset? Or the one investing in freedom and flexibility? And again, I will get into point number 2, which is the opportunity cost. It is so goddamn big right now. It is practically screaming at us. Let's really keep up with what is actually being thrown away, the down payment alone. Let's say you put $100,000 down on a house. That money is now locked up imprisoned in an illiquid asset. This is exactly what happened to me. An asset that historically returns, 3 to 4% a year. And that is being pretty generous, my friends. That is including the insane anomaly level appreciation we saw when I bought my pre-construction property in August 2020, which, let me assure you, is not normal. That was a blip. Not the norm. Let's say you took that same $100,000, that hard-earned cash, and you put it in the beautiful, consistent S&P 500. The historical average return is 10% annually, right? Over 30 years, that 100 grand, my friends, becomes a staggering $1.7 million, even at a conservative 8%. You are looking at over $1 million, right? And that is just the down payment opportunity cost alone. That is just the tip of the iceberg. What about all the other stuff? The difference between what you pay renting versus owning. Let's say $1,000 a month invested over, 30 years at 8%. Same thing, same conservative number. That is another $1.5 million. So by buying that house, by succumbing to that outdated dream, you are potentially giving up $2 to $3 million in wealth over your lifetime. $2 to $3 million. Just gone. Poof. For what too? For the privilege of saying you own something that the bank technically actually owns until you pay it off 30 years from now. It is like paying to rent something that you then have to buy later. It makes no sense. And we haven't even talked about closing costs or all the other hidden fees, the administrative nightmares that are associated with it. I promise you, if you haven't purchased a house before, they rack up very, very quickly. That is up to 80 grand that just evaporates. Money that could have been working for you, money that, if you invested it at a very conservative rate, would have grown exponentially. Your house needs to appreciate 16% just for you to break even. Just to get back to square one, right? Versus renting and investing instead. And staying very liquid, staying agile, staying free. And that is the other thing. It is like, I look at the down payment it takes people save for a lifetime just for a down payment on a property. When you could stay so much more liquid by investing in other stuff, in things that actually grow your wealth, in things that give you freedom. And again, I gotta put a disclaimer here. This isn't financial advice. Okay, I am not trying to sway you in one simple decision. I am just trying to open your eyes. I am trying to shake you awake and really say, do you want real estate? Do you actually want to own a property and be shackled like that? Because if you do, if that is truly your dream, I respect it. Real estate is tangible. You could touch it, feel it. I get that. The emotional attachment, but I don't know. It is not in my wheelhouse right now. It is not where the smart money is. And again, this goes on to point number 3. I think liquidity, especially in this generation right now, is the new wealth. And this is what people don't talk about enough. This is the quiet revolution happening right under our noses. The highest earners right now are switching jobs every 2 to 4 years, and they're getting 10 to 20% raises. Remote work has opened up crazy opportunities. AI is disrupting everything, creating new industries and new demands. If you want to capitalize on any of this, if you want to ride these waves of innovation, you need to be mobile, you need to be able to pivot, you need to have cash available, right? Just in case. You can't be cash poor, house rich. That doesn't make any sense. That is like having a golden cage. So let's say you get an incredible job offer in another city, a $50,000 raise. That is a life-changing opportunity. But you own a house, and I see this with Toronto, right? People are commuting 2 hours away because they bought in 2020. Things looked good back then, but now they're having to commute 4 hours a day, losing so much money, so much time, so much of their life, just by doing that, right? And that process of selling your house, it takes months. and it costs you 8 to 10% a year in transaction fees and carrying costs. Or let's say you want to start a business, you need capital, your wealth is trapped in your house. You could do a cash out refi or a HELOC, a home equity line of credit, but now you are paying interest just to access your own money, right? It is like being charged to retrieve your own savings. It is ludicrous. Meanwhile, I've got $1.1 million liquid, just sitting there, ready to be deployed. An opportunity comes up. I can move it immediately. I want to buy the dip in the market, which I've done a ton of. Done. I see a business opportunity that comes up, sweet. I can fund that. I want to run some ads. Boom. I could get that done. Like, the flexibility, the agility, the sheer freedom that liquidity provides is worth more than any potential. Home appreciation in your 20s. Okay, again, I am not talking if you are 50, 60, 70s. Like, you got to take some chips off the table. Like, you go buy the property at this point. If you are settled, if you are done with the hustle. But in today's world, the biggest financial wins, the biggest opportunities, come from being able to move fast to capitalize on stuff. To seize the moment, being locked into a house is like playing the game of life with a ball and a freaking chain on your ankle. It doesn't make any sense. You are being anchored, held back, while everyone else is sprinting ahead. So again, kind of going to the fourth point, which I didn't really want to talk about this, but the market timing is terrible. I am not a big fan of, trying to time the market. I believe in time in the market. But just look at this. Dude, like, literally, it is one of the worst times to buy in a decade right now. Mortgage rates are still sitting at, I think, 6 to 7%. I haven't checked that in a while, but compare that to the 3% rates that people were getting in 2020-21. That difference on $500,000 loan costs you an extra $1,000 a month, right? Over the life of the mortgage, that is just pouring money down the drain. Home prices are still near all-time highs in most markets. At least, yeah, they've come down from the peak a little bit, but they're still stupidly inflated compared to historical norms. And inventory is starting to increase, which means prices are likely to soften even more. So, I mean, that is not bad, but then you are locking in at a terrible interest rate, an overpriced asset, in a slowing market, right? Even if you can afford it, why would you do that? Why would you willingly step into a financial trap? Why not stay liquid, keep investing, and if you really truly want to buy a house someday, just wait for a better entry point, wait for the market to correct itself, wait for a time when it actually makes financial sense. That is what I realized in 2024. I looked at where the market was heading. I am like, I need to get liquid right now. I need to sell this thing and just get this off my hands because just the mental something, a water pipe broke when the house was brand new. I didn't have to fix it, but just that being on my mental was like, dude, I cannot deal with this. I have so much other amazing, exciting, wealth-building stuff on my plate right now. This is not. And nobody was even living it at the time, right? And I was like, I can't do this. This is such a waste of my mental energy, such a drain on my focus. So again, that deteriorated while my portfolio continued skyrocketing right with that money.